Hello, my name is Chantel Byrne, and my presentation is going to be on PHP sessions, specifically session start and session destroy. And this is where I got the information for my presentation down at the bottom. I am going to go over session overview, session start, and then session variables and session destroy. These are two functions. First, an overview of session. The session stores information, in our case data, in a session variable to be used across multiple pages on a web server. Notice that it is a web server and not on the user's computer like cookies. This allows the possibility of storing a lot more data than cookies do. Session variables last while users are using the site until the user closes the browser, so they are temporary. Sessions work by automatically setting a cookie in the user's browser that contains a session ID. So if you look here, it automatically creates a cookie, and here is the name. And then what is a session ID? Well, a session ID is this. It is a long string of letters and numbers, about 20 characters in length, and they serve to identify a user uniquely for the duration of their visit to your site. Because I said they were temporary. They are a variable used by PHP to load stored data that's associated with that session. So in the value, you have your data that needs to be stored. They use temporary files stored on the web server to keep track of variables that have been registered in each session and their values. Without a session ID, the conversation between the browser and a server is untracked. Thus, a new session is created for each browser request. This is called a stateless web. And then what happens is when your user tries to log in, every time that there is a view page that requires login, they will have to re-log in. So as you can see, all requests are considered new and unknown to the server. But with a session ID, interactions between a visitor's browser and a server can be maintained, making it so the server can track the interactions. So the user logins only once, and between the browser and the server and between your views, it all works. So session start. This starts a PHP session. Must be placed first thing in a document, even before HTML tags. These tell PHP to look for a session ID or to start a new one if none are found. But if there is one, PHP restores the variable that belongs to that session, so restores the ID. So here is the example. You start with your PHP, and then at the very beginning, you have session start. Next, you will put in your session variables. They are super global, and they're used to set to remain until the session is closed, and they are available on all pages in the site when accessed by the current user. So for instance, my variable is first name, the value is John, variable is last name, value is Smith, and age 37, and color red. Then session destroy. What session destroy does, it ends the current session. It deletes all the registered variables in the process and clears all the stored values, but it does not delete the session ID. So on to my PHP example. As you can see from my examples, I just put it into VS Code. Here's your PHP. It must start with session. And then here with session start, and then here you have the session variables with their values. First name John, last name Smith, age 37, color red, and then I take that and I put it into my using example PHP page. Again, notice how I start with my PHP session start, then I put in my HTML, and then within the body I have my PHP again, and here is where I use the session variables. So your name is first name, last name, you are blank years old, your favorite color is blank. So as you can see, when I go into my browser, it works. So it says your name is John Smith, you are 37 years old, and your favorite color is red, which is what I put in. To be able to see that your session was started and it was created, you go into your web developer, you look to the cookies tab and you click on view cookie information, and then here you see you will have your cookie name and there is the session ID. So now we see what happens when I put in session destroy and use that. As you can see now, it worked, though you necessarily don't want it to be working at this point in time, but it worked because all of the values are gone, and then it just has what I wrote. So your name is and nothing is filled in. So just a quick recap to end. You always need to use session start with your sessions, and it always must be at the top before your HTML, and then you call your variables, and you want to make sure that you don't use session destroy when you want to be able to use, and then everything works good. Thank you.